Hallo, herzlich willkommen hier auf der Boot 2025. Wir sind am Donnerstagnachmittag. Wir haben 6 Tage hinter uns und noch 3 besondere Tage vor uns. Ich stehe hier auf der Axopar AX oder man könnte auch sagen AX. So, Janne, what is the right name for this boat? How do I pronounce it? Because it's like a slash and an E, which is for electric.
Yeah, for many it's called Axopar Electric, but to me internally and to my own perception is AX, cutting edge. So we're cutting into So to me you have 2 points. To me it's both. So Axopar electrified, which is AX-E, or then AX for cutting edge, or cutting into development and paving roads and paving a path for new technology and new zero emissions propulsion.
So let's take the first name you said, because that's for me the most important one, because in fact we are standing on 100% Axopar 25.
That is sure, that is 100%.
I just said I would say it's an Axopar, or it's a Brabus 300, which is based on an Axopar 25, because it's more detail work, it's much more refinement, it's much more like perfection in that boat, which is normally in the branding inside of the Axopar boats plus the Brabus Marine, it's positioned by Brabus Marine.
Yes.
So
we can go both ways on this. Absolutely, it's an Axopar electrified, which means that when you buy the AX, you have no compromise on the renowned functionality, drivability, modularity of an Axopar. So you will have a seamless change between internal combustion engine and going zero emissions with the AX. Secondly, because of the price constraints on battery packages and the propulsion systems itself, we are talking about a more expensive boat than the comparison to the Axopar 25. And when we've done successfully the Brabus 300, with all the upgrades we've done to it, I also felt compelled to do a higher quality perception and a higher quality and more detail work with the AX. Because customers are paying more, I want them to also feel that they get more for their money.
So I think we should go through the boat and show to the visitors, any detail that we just been talking about.
Yes, but I believe the first is just having a look at the boat, because everything you see on the boat is with a special gel coat color. So everything you see is in this ivory tone, which I believe is
very Italian for me.
It's closer to the Mediterranean than it is to a standard Axopar, but that is also the thing that I love with the boat, because it's just also, it blends very well in with the Axopar range, but it still stands out as an electric boat.
I would say it stands more out than even the Brabus.
That for sure, and that was my point in it exactly. I wanted it to stand out.
Okay, so
but let's have a look at
Let's have a look in detail. So first thing from my side is, when I'm thinking about electric boats, I'm always thinking about something, put together in a way that it works well, it's high technology, but it's not sexy and it doesn't look that well. This is in my world something new, electric-y. But when I'm looking at this engine here, the cowling, it looks even more modern than the Verado, the Mercury one we have next door. So when you start looking from the back of that boat, there's no actually, like somebody not knowing this is an electric boat,
will walk past it
and will just say this is very luxury looking, very cool, very Mediterranean, very Italian, but very functional. But it's not like it jumps into your face that it's electric.
And that was one of the key points, because in the past electric boats were either work boats, or then there was a time where some of the boats looked more like a spaceship than a real boat, so they were really not filling up the function of a proper boat. And now,
sorry, interrupt. Isn't the car industry in the start?
Yeah, like the car industry in the start.
Yes, but it was also, going too crazy. And I think still the very big German one also tried to go too crazy instead of just building cars, what the people love in their portfolio. They try to go somewhere which they regret very much today, I would say.
So some of this is of course for attention. You want to create attention for it. But at the end of the day, still remember, it is not the attention that sells the boats. It's the functionality, it's the drivability, it's the dependability, it's also the perception you do as an owner of a boat, and how it actually fits and feels to yourself, your own personality. And that's where we really wanted to keep the Axe range on the 22 and on the 25 way closer to traditional boats than going any rocket ship science on it.
Fully agree, because in the end, as you said, boating is done with an electric boat the same than with a normal boat.
Yes.
You're just having, due to your personal idea of going boating, because you're very modern, you're like a future running person, or you maybe also, due to the regulations at your local lake, you are like pushed into using such a boat, and you don't want to be, you know, reminded every day you're going out that you are, by the government, by the local, by the environmental regulations, pushed into it. You just want to go boating.
And this is where we see a natural implementation of electric boats is, for example, lakes in Germany, where, and I have actually the personal preference of mine is our Finnish and Swedish and Norwegian archipelago, where we every single weekend go to our summer homes as long as the sea is not frozen over. And for us to implement the electric boats is a perfect fit, because we use this to travel a certain distance every weekend, go to the summer home on the Friday and leave on the Sunday home to work, and you have your fully electric boat fully charged at your home port when you leave on Friday, charge it at your summer home, and then do the activities around your summer home, go to the restaurants, enjoy there, charge them in your summer home, and then you always have that as your second hub, and then drive back. So,
and then you don't need really what is criticized, as you know, in the car industry as well. So the infrastructure
station
is not that relevant, because you're going to have it home and home.
Yes.
Like you have your mooring in your marina will have a shore power.
Yes.
You will not go daily out, as you said, it's on the weekend. So the boat will for sure be full.
Yes.
You're arriving Friday afternoon, evening at the boat.
Yes.
Then you're going to drive to your summer home.
Yep.
You're probably going to do on Saturday maybe some water sports or whatever.
Yep.
But you always can fill it up again in between, because you will not run completely empty, and it will be for sure enough with some loading up, not even fully charged, to bring you home on the Sunday evening.
That is one, and actually, pretty funnily enough, how the technology will go forward is that as the battery capacity is pretty high on an electric boat, and if I drive short distances, there's also the opposite possibility to do in the future, that you could actually power your summer home with your boat. Okay, so if you know that you have a capacity of driving slow for, let's say, 2 to 3 hours, and you usually use only 20 minutes to drive to your summer home, you could actually power up your summer home with the electricity of the boat in store and still drive home. So it's also working on the opposite way. Or if you have a power
bank, it's like a power bank.
A huge power bank. So that's the future where we are going into,
as in the houses.
As in the houses, for sure. But if there's something still, just bringing the Axe on the Axopar stand, having them next to the Axopar 22, and just having them, you know, on the stand on the same level, and when you walk around the deck and you just have a look, it's like a perfect fit into the range and the portfolio. So again, coming back to it, you don't do any compromises buying an Axe or driving an Axe. You actually go for the noiseless, zero emissions, sustainable style of boating without that sort of compromise, or you know, you don't need to give up anything in here.
But everybody, the standard questions are, how fast can it go? How far can I go?
Yep.
How many capacity do I have? Like some numbers, please.
So first of all, which we actually don't promote, but this boat is the world's fastest zero production electric boat. So this boat is capable of driving over 50 knots and more. We have really never really tapped into its potential, but we are talking about an offshore capable, fast boat. And what the 25 is doing is actually the triple 25. So you can drive 25 knots for 20.
It fits to the size of the boat. Eh?
Yes.
Yeah,
so you have a 25-foot boat that can drive 25 knots for 25 nautical miles. So in that sense, when you're doing cruising speed, you're driving 1 hour. So we did a good example with the prototype. After Cannes Boat Show on a Sunday, after we wrapped up the show, I got into the boat and I drove from Cannes to Saint-Tropez.
Which is quite a distance already.
That's quite a distance already, so that was a bit about 25 nautical miles, but just around that region. And as the charging infrastructure develops all around, you can start doing this sort of lunch hopping so that you can go to Saint-Tropez, you put in a fast charger there. There's a supercharger there, so you charge it at the same time you're on lunch or a dinner, and then you drive back again. So that's how I see this developing also for this, let's say, irregular boating. But still, at the end of the day, this is a perfect boat for somebody who knows how they're already using their regular boats on a daily basis. They know their distances, they know their routines, and they just want this electrified.
Yeah, and they don't want this, sorry to say, this typical lake boat. Because as you know, as you just mentioned before, in Germany, in Austria, there's plenty of lakes, Lake Chiemsee, Lake Starnberg, Öttersee. So there's many lakes which are regulated by the government when it comes to zero emission, when it comes to boats. So due to that, there's a complete boating industry which was developing itself the last 20-30 years into specializing in electric boats. But somehow these electric boats are then, from their configuration, because
made for lakes,
because that's where they come from. Always, every shipyard, I think, you can always say that the core values and the basics in the products are connected to the region they come from. Also with your boats, for sure. There's not many 45 Axopars in the archipelago in where you are in Vasa, but in fact it's an upscale 29, and the 29 cross cabin is in fact a very typical boat.
One of the best driving boats in the world.
Yeah, and also very typical for your region. So you as a shipyard also have your core values. We go with
this approach. And it's actually pretty interesting. In 2014 we started with Axopar, and our whole design philosophy was actually from a sustainability point of thinking already then started. So making boats modular, making boats with a low silhouette, which means that we also make the boats with less weight. The less weight we can do means the less material we put into the boat. So in the whole Axopar philosophy, in general, we can say that where a competitor builds 2 boats, we can, for the same material, build 3 boats with the same material, and that is sustainable thinking to me, if nothing else.
Do you have the weight in your head? Is it similar than a full-fueled 25, or is it a bit more?
So the 25 is with dual battery packs of 64 kilowatt hours each, 63, sorry. And in that sense, we are of course removing the fuel tank and having one of the battery packs in that area, and then the second one is in the multi-storage area. I can show you around a bit earlier. We did a few things in here. Actually, we go and have a look at it right away. Because here you can see a bit of the magic, which you can't see too much because, of course, it's an 800 volt system, so it's a high voltage system, and we of course wanted to cover it and protect all the high voltage components and still have the storage area for fenders and stuff. Now then, coming to the weight, when we can remove a fuel tank that in regular would also be full of fuel, the AX25 is approximately 150 kilograms more heavier than a standard Axopar 25, but that is not significant.
Then it's still in very good trailer boat, because the 25 is like with a good trailer, like a good sized trailer, we are normally reaching 3.2 tons, 3.250, so it'll be 150 kilo more, so will we still be by a big SUV, so somebody at these lakes we just been talking about can also trailer it even home and use it on the weekends and just bring it home.
Yes, and well,
but the multi-storage is for sure the only aft-deck layout we can have
on the 25 because of the constraints of the second battery. But then on the 22, we can have the U-sofa or the multi-storage
because we have one battery.
Running with one battery.
And what distance we have then?
We're doing around 16 nautical miles on the 22 with the Evoy Breeze engine. And if you ask me, the difference between the two boats, or how they behave, I would say they behave pretty closely to each other and exactly in the same way. So if you ask me, if I were to buy an electric boat for doing my commuting in between, I would go with the 22 because I like the size of the 22. It's a very nimble boat, but it's also one of the best handling 22-foot boats out there. And funnily enough, I've been running into, I was in America just a few weeks ago, I ran into a guy that owns offshore racing boats, and he had his friend who is an offshore racing world champion, and they were out in bad weather outside of Miami on a 22, and his friend said, we should not be this comfortable right now. And that to me was like, okay, now I'm getting you know what Axopar has always been about, which is the drivability, but getting guys like this saying these sort of things to me, that is really, you know, much appreciated, because so much work goes in on Axopar to make the drivability of the boat, and that drivability you now have on the Axe. So again, no compromise from the offshore worthiness or the sea capability.
So also there's no no regulation when it comes to saltwater use or anything you would say.
Nothing that in that sense will require anything else in terms of servicing than you have on your standard engine. Mercury or engine, whatever. So the whole system, the whole battery system, as it's an 800 volt system, it is liquid cooled, but it is liquid cooled like you have on a car on a separate system, which is then has its alternator or heat exchanger on the engine itself. So
in Deutsch wäre das zweikreisgekühlt. I don't know how you say that in English. So we're having two circles which over a heat exchanger it is parallel. So this is important for the saltwater use, definitely, for any use.
And again, for the commuting, the 22, because it doesn't have any accommodation space, and I only would use it for going between my summer home and my home myself, that's the 22. But we also have a lot of customers that want to bring out families and people and spend time. The 25 still has the forward deck where you can sunbathe, and it has the forward cabin for two persons with a toilet and sleepover. So I think with these two boats we cover a huge variety of different user needs. With T-top or without T-top, fully open boats, I think for me in Scandinavia I would go without the T-top roof. I know that the T-top is probably 2/3 of our sales minimum. People want to have it for the shade, but also if the weather is not that nice, it gives you a small protection.
Yeah, absolutely. Can I also have a canopy on here?
There is a small canopy in the works as we speak, but it's more of a spray hood than a canopy in that sense.
Good. So what I think, because the boat is so high spec, what is in here now not standard? I guess there's loads of things standard.
There is a lot of things standard. So if we go for we already talked about the special gel coating. So we have and color coding of all details. So every single aluminium stainless steel part that we have, except for the cleats, because the cleats are always under huge stress from the ropes, so we didn't want to paint those. But everything else is color coded. The grills, the vents, the speaker grills, everything is painted into the same color scheme. What we also brought in us is, of course, a bit more exclusive materials like teak on the dashboards with laser cut signatures for the push buttons, leather steering wheels, but still all these, of course, marine grade. So in that sense, even if you wash it down, it will still, you know, be drying up easily, and will still withstand rain or any other, you know.
And then there's another plotter system in here?
Yes, so with the Avoy system, there's a new dashboard, which is more or less one single unit where you can have split into two different. And this is probably my favorite configuration, where I can have my Avoy system fully integrated into one side, and going through these, it always tells me about my range, my charge, my speed, my what sort of throttle engagement I have, and also all the charging info that I would want to know and check whenever I put it into charge.
And then standard charging.
Standard charging on the other side. Yeah. If we go into other details, well, upgraded Mediterranean upholsteries.
Very nice. Have different materials also even here.
Yes, and we run with 3 different materials all around, all just to, you know, enrich this sensation. We have a Mediterranean style decking, but also in that we incorporate details everywhere, small details in the soft decking. We have, of course, our small Easter eggs, so I call them the Easter eggs, the small signages, go explore, the adventure you've been waiting for, all these small things are around the boat. But all in all, for an enhanced experience on the water.
I think what is very important that we show, we don't need to pull it out now, but that we show...
Yeah, the idea of it. So we have the charging, so yeah, we can do it.
That we have a full sunbed here in the back.
Yes.
Because this is in many areas, especially when it goes to the lakes in the south, then to show how big the sunbed here is in the back. Because this is still in competition with many of the lake boats have this setup in the back.
Yes.
But if you don't sunbed, if you use it, you know, for water skiing and so on, this is not so practical, and then you can flip up the sides. For sure, with the support is pulled out.
Let's put this one in place as well.
And then we can put this in here in place.
Yeah, absolutely. So because this one is then the second one, more or less, so this will act as a backrest. So in that sense, I can sit 1, 2, 3, 4 persons facing forward
and one
in this
kind of
area,
lying behind,
and you can still be lying fully in the back. So if you don't need fast access into the multi-storage, this is something you can leave it out like this. But all in all, the whole idea is still to have this easily walk around boat and have the areas so that you easily access the storage, but also you can sit 1, 2, 3, like even up to 8 people around this area alone. Here we have our, this is also, typical Axopars when it comes to accessibility. So we have our sink, and then we have a top loading fridge. So for going out, having some, you know, snacks, a small picnic, you're always going to be able to do that with this. The chairs also rotate so that you can also be facing backwards with these.
Just shift this backwards.
Yeah, so all the functionality you have on an Axopar, you have on the Axe.
Good, then
front cabin.
Surprise, front cabin by size.
Yes, because still, take this in consideration, we are in one of the best handling 25-foot boats out there with a very sharp bow, and still be able to fit well 2 persons inside here. We also have a hidden toilet. Yeah, we can put on some more lights in here. And we also then have a hidden toilet underneath here as well. I would say this tells you pretty well what the Axe 25 is all about. Yeah.
USB charger, all the fuses here, music control, which is also possible from the chart plotter.
Yeah.
Small bag here with for some storage.
Yeah.
And also even a skylight here to get some light into the front cabin to make it not to be blocked out.
Yeah. Access to the boat thruster underneath the mattresses, small storage area.
I'm just lying myself down to get a feeling by size.
Yes.
So we could lie here easily with 2 people in.
Yes. Yes.
So it's a full usable cabin on an electric boat of 25 foot. So I think this is very unique.
You also see how we sit here. So this is like a full natural location for us to spend time.
Locked
and
with
lockable,
this.
Of course. Yeah. Ah, it's locked in place probably now. Give me a second. Yeah. No. Yes. So So no.
And really nice is everywhere is this color scheme. This is very exclusive.
Yes. And as I said, all hatches, everything is painted. But again, we're talking about a high premium product, and it needs to ooze that sort of high premium sensation when you step on board, the minute you step on board. And I believe we did pretty good job with this.
Very
so
nice.
Also to differentiate it from a standard Axopar. Yeah.
So foredeck, the boat is asymmetric.
Or we go for the, so this is actually a small different thing, so we can actually close this one. So now we have a, this was also one thing that I'm pretty, I like simple solutions. And sometimes simple solutions are hard to come by, so I'm calling it simple complexity in a way. So the windshield of the Axe, the same as we have on the 25, so if I want to be driving and get some wind in the hair, I can easily lower down the windshield and I will still be protected by the helm. But as all Axopars, I love to be this sort of a half leaning, half standing position.
Which is my position.
I always boat this way. This is 9 out of 10. You will see me like this on a boat. And then to have the possibility to lift up the roof, it already removes a lot of the draft coming from here. So just to give you an idea of how much it actually lifts, it's just enough for really to be pushing the air so that and now you're a bit higher than me, but I'm really still in the between, that I can be fully underneath the plexi, or I can be above.
If you're leaning a little bit, as
now
you do,
I'm completely under,
yeah.
so you see me clearly covered by this.
Yeah, and asymmetric deck design means,
yes,
you know, I could walk this side in from the front, but not really from the back. This gives more space in the inside.
Yes, all in all,
and more space in the foredeck.
Because we wanted to save this space in here. So you're still going to be mooring quite a lot. All the boats you're going to be usually mooring with the bow too. It's easier access into the docks and everything. So we wanted to make sure that you have good access, good handlebars around when you bring your baggage all around. And then of course, well, we're on the Mediterranean, so the sun deck is of course also something for people to enjoy. But just to give you an idea of the size, well, it's a proper sunbed in front.
Two people, easy cup holders there, even handles to hold on if you're lying here on the front.
Yeah, and now take this in consideration. Now we have 2 sunbeds on this boat. So if you're really into sun lounging, this is something, you know, you can bring a lot of people in here.
Then we have a proper anchor box, 50 meters of stainless chain, big anchor winch, electric winch. So also, especially going out on the lake, or even in Mallorca, you always need a proper anchor solution, what this setup here is.
Yep.
With a 7.5 kilo Bruce anchor. Then also again, proper cleats. All this maritime functional part is not dismissed at all on that boat.
No, no.
Because this is all the basics which comes from the Axopar 25.
And producing already over 6.5, close to 7,000 boats already. You know, all the details we put into the axe, it's proven marine grade materials over and over time.
Very nice. I think what is like a perfect market will be probably these lakes also in Germany, where we are hopefully planning to do some events over this spring or summer, where we bring these boats to some lakes and people finding to understand what we just been saying about.
Yep.
But
and
then
I believe
also in the Mallorca and
I
whatever.
believe that this boat, for example, your driver school that you have in Mallorca, that could be a perfect fit for that, for the day boating and you know, the wee boat group. Perfect choice for somebody to just try what the electric boats
is about. We have in the club, we have in general the same with the Agape Club. The people are in average, I think, doing the boating, they're doing the day, they're going in the bay, is about 10 nautical miles.
Yeah.
So it's not like people are driving, you know, every day 40 nautical miles. So the electric boating is, in fact, for everybody possible. It's just a mindset. It's easier than in the car industry.
Yes.
Because in the car industry, you're still having loads of these peaks where you go on a ski vacation, where you're visiting your family living somewhere else. But again, if you do day boating in this size at sea, you don't do these big trips.
No.
And you could put it on a trailer then if you want.
Yeah, for sure. If you want to go really the long distance, that's for sure.
Good. Ja, thanks. Vielen Dank fürs Zuschauen von der AXI 25, von der AX. Wenn man sich eine Vorstellung nochmal machen möchte zur AXE 22, ist letztendlich eine Kopie von der Axopar 22 dort. Man muss nur dieses Color Scheme, das Motordesign und so weiter auf dieses Schiff drüber publizieren, drüber tragen. Letztendlich kann man eben auch die als 22 eben mit dem U-Sofa hinten bekommen, was natürlich nochmal ein bisschen einen gemütlicheren Charakter gibt, bei der 22 vor allem. Und die 22 ist einfach, das ist die 25 in ihrer Klasse, ein einmaliges Produkt, was die Fahreigenschaften angeht, aber noch mehr Go-Kart-Feeling hat ganz klar die 22. Die macht so viel Spaß und ist eben auch nicht mit der Sonnenliege vorne drauf, noch der bessere Commuter. Das heißt, das Boot, was man letztendlich vorne einfach noch durch den Tiefliegen, es hat keine Kabine vorne drin und man kann sich auf dem Boot einfach nochmal freier bewegen, also ein richtiges Walkaround-Boot und das mit 22 Fuß. Ich hoffe, das hat Sie begeistert, hier von der Boot 2025. Janne, ich danke dir vielmals. Du weißt einfach viel mehr von dem Schiff wie ich. Jetzt weiß ich auch mehr. Nächstes Mal kann ich so ein Video alleine machen. Ich bin ja schon in Cannes mit dem Boot gefahren, war da auch total begeistert. Wir sind da nämlich 50 Knoten plus gefahren. Das war sensationell. Die Beschleunigung mehr wie von jedem Combustion Engine, also Verbrennungsmotor in der PS-Klasse oder in der Größe, wie ich je gefahren bin. Also die eigentliche Bravos, auch wenn das nicht so ist eigentlich hier die AXI vom Power her, ist sie praktisch über der Bravos. Letztendlich ist eine andere Positionierung des Produktes, aber Spaß mit dem Boot hier hat man auf einem Level, wie es, glaube ich, ganz wenige hier in der Halle zu bieten haben.
Ja.
Danke, Janne, und vielen Dank fürs Zuschauen.
Ja, danke.